y'all. We are back here at FarmCon 2025. Today with me, I have Nicole and Josh, our returning faces, and I also have Chad Elkins out of Smith Grove, Kentucky. He came here with us. What kind of crops you farm?
Mostly corn, soybeans, wheat, a little bit of rapeseed, and we also have a dairy operation as well.
Okay. Alrighty. So how do you know Josh and Nicole?
Well, I've worked with Josh for, I guess, as long as I can remember.
Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I just met Nicole a few weeks ago and look forward to working with her as well.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, we are here at FarmCon, and we've been through a day of speakers, talkers, panels, whatever. And I mean, there's been a lot of good, deep conversations, controversial topics, disagreements. Nicole, what's some of the things you've taken away?
Oh my gosh, Callie, that's a loaded question. I think here we've had a diverse view of the agricultural realm. Lots of marketing, lots of agronomy, lots of soil health, and then a lot of motivational speakers. I think that's good. I think it's always good to have a little bit of encouragement with all the things going in the market right now. It can be a depressing side of things. So I think it's good that they were able to bring in a lot of good people to talk to us that aren't in the ag realm. But man, what we should start on marketing?
Wherever you want to start. I mean, I like Kevin Van Trump's viewpoints because, yes, like the other speakers, some of them were farmers, but he just kind of gave a broader perspective, like talking about the housing market, talking about our generation, but then he also went into the commodity market and how prices are, how stocks are, and different things. But just so far, who is your favorite speaker?
I don't know. I think I like the panels better.
I like the panels.
I like the panels because there's lots of disagreements or lots of opinions. So I think one of the big things is seeing where the potash market is going within the next couple of months. And if we're being honest, I don't think I got a real clean answer on that. I know that 80% of our potash comes out of Canada, but they didn't really say where that market was going to go on price-wise. But they said that the tariffs could affect that, if we're getting that out of Canada. So that could be a big movement there.
Yeah. Josh, what about you?
I don't know, man. You look at this and it makes me think what Nietzsche said, that what does not kill us makes us stronger. So we're in a dark time in ag, and it seems to be that way, but people are here because of opportunity and resiliency. So they're looking something to propel them, whether it be investing in a different form or education. So, especially for me, you find people who force you outside of your comfort zone, and that's where opportunity lies, and that's where opportunity awaits, to meet you halfway. And that's the thing that I've noticed here is everybody's looking for something to keep building upon, to buckle themselves to, because maybe we're not going to be that profitable in our farming operations, but what I've taken away here from the panels and the speakers, there's other opportunities to invest your money, so you don't have to depend solely on that on-farm income. So I look at it as opportunity and resiliency is kind of what I see in here. I know it's probably not what you're looking for, but
What do you think was one of those big takeaways or one of those products that really were like, okay, wow, that's a new way to do things? I can think of one right now that was pretty interesting, but I think, coming here, you get to see what's coming new to the market, and that's been one of the most interesting things for me. So do you have any specific things that you've noticed here that's coming out?
in terms of what we're doing on the farm or just in general?
Just in general, I think there's a lot of new innovations. Like I think, right across the booth here, we're looking at green lighting. That's really cool.
That's what I was about to get into.
The green lightning one really interests me. I mean,
it is.
Go for it.
It's just amazing.
No, man.
Chad, tell us. Like, what do you think about it?
I think it's just the amount of money and the for the simplicity of something like that, what it could do for a farmer is just pretty impressive to me. So,
do you see that would be a good fit on your operation?
I think it would be a good fit for anybody. Operation, that's got the need for nitrogen. So,
yeah. You think about the inputs we have right now. That's a perfect opportunity to capture what we already have in the air to be able to utilize on our own operation.
It's already there. It's not costing us anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's innovation. And that's what's going to take this thing forward. It's innovation and technology. Whether we're talking about green lightning or whether we're talking about, organics or what have you, that's what's going to propel us. And that's the exciting thing about it. We talked last night, we was over eating supper about, the different farm shows you go to. Now, this one is the first time I've been here, but this is also the first one I've been to where it's like the demographics here are down for business. This is what this is about.
Right.
This is about, buckling down, focusing on tomorrow and next year and finding that path forward. So it's innovation, and that's what you see all around this place.
Yeah, I think one thing that go ahead.
No, you go.
One thing I think that stuck out for me yesterday is us three went to the Upterra gathering afterwards, and that was really cool for me. So I've always been a big proponent of water. Thinking about water conditioners, we got nanotechnology, a bunch of different ways to help make our products be more efficient in the way that we're applying them, whether that's fungicides, herbicides, foliars, biologicals, all of them. And I think that was a new way. I'm not even going to act like I know the mechanism, all of that, but to structure that water for those molecules to fit just perfect for their application. I thought that one was really neat. I don't think we look enough at water and the efficacy of the products that we apply. If we change that water or make it to where it really needs to be.
That's a rabbit hole we could go down. Maybe save that for another episode. But that was going to that
Very
meeting yesterday,
interesting.
listening to them, and how new that was and what they were getting out of their pivots out. How much water did you say they were saving on those pivots?
They're saying 25 to 30%.
You take that in
that's
dry
huge
land.
to a irrigated farmer in the West. For anybody that uses irrigation, that's a huge deal. And for us, it's probably not that much of a benefit. Maybe in the livestock operations, but for those people that have irrigation, it could be a huge deal for them.
Yeah, and you said in the livestock industry as well, they're looking at it in poultry, and you said that you have, milking barns. So
right.
That's...
Yeah, it's something to definitely look into.
I feel like all of this ties into one of the things that I wrote down about what Kevin Van Trump opened with. Adaptability is greater than planning. Because, these companies are capitalizing on like green lightning, like they're what we already have in front of us, like what's natural to us. They're just finding another way to do it to make it easier for us to access. And like all of this, the water, what brand was that?
Upterra.
Like they're all doing the same thing, just in different ways.
Right.
That's what Mike Tyson said, man. Everybody got a plan. They get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, technology is constantly changing. So it's gonna add new things. As technology explodes each and every year. So
Okay, as a farmer then, and where you're not speaking for you, but just thinking how we work together in this space, where do you see the future of ag line? After being here, knowing the things we've talked about, you, Nicole, and I have talked about and worked on. Where do you see it going?
I don't know. I'm a little negative on it, if you want to be honest. Just looking at the markets and the global situations and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm a little negative on it, but I'm usually wrong. So.
Hey, well, I think
this
you aren't
time.
the only one that we're getting, a lot of negative feedback on where we're expecting the markets to go, whether that's the price of the commodities or the price of inputs. I think they said, with like crop production and all of that, they're seeing maybe a 1 to 2% change in that.
Yeah, it pretty much looks like it's going to stay around where it is now, which is not positive for a farmer.
Not at all.
Well, one of the things I kind of want to talk about that really stuck out to me is we've talked about the chemicals, we've talked about the different application type of things. Farm consolidation was something they brought up, and I wrote down a statistic, and they said 7 million farms to less than 1 million in the U.S. over a certain span of time. I don't know what. Like, this could be another topic for another podcast, but what are y'all thoughts on that? Like, what do y'all think about it?
I think the market is driving us for consolidation. There's very little profit in it for any individual. So you got to get the size and the in order to ever accumulate or to be able to make a business profitable. So I can see consolidation and is going forward is probably going to increase.
So it has to be scalable to make the living.
It does, yeah.
Market scalability.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we think about the new buyers in the market, we have Bill Gates buying up all kinds of land. We have, doctors or even just larger farmers able to get that land over some of, the smaller growers that we work with. So I think that's a big proponent of it. And that was one of the things that I took away from this was make sure you're investing, in other things, whether that be ag or not. It's time to be innovative on the farm. So that's one of the biggest takeaways I think I've gotten from being here at FarmCon.
Well, it's also have something to fall back on. And I was literally just about to bring up the new buyers. Bill Gates, you said, and the Church of Latter-day Saints. Like, I wrote that down, and I was like, I'm going to research this because that's just not something you expect to hear at FarmCon, that Bill Gates and the Church of Latter-day Saints are
Pass that
buying
offering plate.
farmland.
They see the value in land.
And I feel like farmers do, but other people, like in big cities, they probably don't. I'm not saying they don't see the value in land, but it's just crazy that this is where we're going. Like, this is how it's headed. Another thing they brought up, transportation is a commodity. I like that. Like, I just like that stuck out to me a lot. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Well, if we're going to commodify it, then we're going to be looking at the aviation fuels and things of that nature and an uptick in biodiesel. So if we're going to continue to grow the acres of the crops that we're going to, then we've got to find an outlet. We're going to commodify that in that transportation market, and I think that's going to be very viable going forward for ag. I mean, it has to be. Because, let's be honest, we're overproducing, so what are we going to do with the surplus? Something I wanted to say real quick about the farmland, the graph that stuck out to me was the S&P 500 indexes and how they just obliterated the scalar performance on farm ground value or return. It was a return, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that was one thing that blew.
I think the thing for me that kind of stuck out yesterday was just I think it was a chart that they showed the younger generation of people, do not have the interest in the land or owning land or even owning housing. The American dream, I guess, for my parents' age and even for my age was, maybe to have enough money to be able to buy a house. And they were saying that, the younger generation don't really care much about that. They would rather spend their money traveling to
and taking pictures.
And taking pictures of it and putting on social
living
media,
above their means or
yeah,
their parents' means.
Yeah, and they would just soon rent. So for the housing market, that does not look good, or for the land market, it does not look good.
That's what we talked about. Will it be? Where you're at though, where you're at specifically,
it's probably a unique situation.
Yeah, because you're going to be buying ground based off commercial real estate value. When's the last farm, even up there off Payne Road? That wasn't really sold on farmland value. To a degree.
But I don't know if there's anywhere in the United States that's sold on farmland value anymore. Really, there's other drivers in the market.
Billionaires run the millionaires out of town now.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about them talking about Brazil? That was one thing. They're not backing down. So I think they said that the average this year for soybeans was 51 bushels to the acre, and they're expected to be at 53 next year. And they don't have a lot of storage. So they said that they have only 20% of storage. So that means that they need to sell it as soon as it's coming in. So I think that's something that we definitely have to consider is if we're already overproducing here, they're overproducing there, and they were talking about, China maybe being on that export side of things with soybeans.
The scariest piece of that puzzle is that they have to move it. So what you got to have to do, if you got to move it, you got to build roads. If they get that roads built and they get that infrastructure set up in a feasible manner where logistics is no longer their crux, I don't know.
It's scary, really. The technology keeps on increasing. Their yields are going to keep going up as well, just like they do here, and that just creates more of a problem globally for the market.
Well, let's unpack that one real quick. I just got a second. I don't want to take anybody's thunder, but what you just said. So knowing that, then that kind of leaves us in a position to finding a different way to do things, doesn't it?
We're going to have to. We're going to have to find another way, another markets, other uses for our products. If we don't, we're, it's kind of scary.
Chad, where do you see you have taken steps in that way? I know you said that you are planting canola now or rape seed.
Yeah.
What are some of those ways that you think you've been leading your farm down?
I don't know. I think at this point, we're going to have to save. We're going to have to cut cost input without decreasing yield. And there's so many things that we cannot control, that I can't control. So, there's one thing I can control is some soil health stuff. And I feel like, the biology stuff is, kind of new and getting started, but I think it's going to be the way of the future. And it's going and for currently it's, it's a pretty significant cost savings. So, as far as right now, there's just a lot of stuff. I can't control the price of what a piece of equipment costs or what the real estate, or what stuff costs, for the most part. But that is one thing that I can control without, sacrificing yield, hopefully enhancing yield.
I had this conversation with my family the other day. They're like, people, aren't going to make changes right now with the prices of inputs and, the prices of commodity right now. And I said, I think that's where you're wrong. I think this is the perfect opportunity for you. You're looking at all your inputs and you're making sure that you are investing in that farm long term. And this is the time to be looking at some of those things because having better soil health, implementing some of those practices in the long run is going to make your farm more profitable or more sustainable, against disease, insects, and all of that with later on down the road, even being able to reduce even more of your inputs.
I mean, if we had $6 corn here, we probably wouldn't even worry about, we wouldn't even worry about saving money. You know, I mean, we would just try to make the most yield that we can and just move on.
And that's what happened with $6 corn. We forgot where our yield came from. Everybody just started trying things. They weren't removing things from the equation. They kept adding on to it. And it's like you're getting back to ground zero again when corn's sub $4.
Counteracting some of those good soil health benefits that we're getting from, say a product that we're applying, but at the same time you're not reducing your fertilizer. And if we have all that salt out there, or you're doing tillage to release everything that you applied, we got to look at those things. We can't just add something in and expect 10, 15 bushels.
Right.
Because I heard subpar $9 soybeans. Yeah. That was scary.
Yeah, it had an 8 in front of them. Yeah,
I wrote that down on my notepad. And then another speaker spoke about 10 minutes later, and he said we could go up $3. So I turned my page back over, marked it out. Maybe I ought to look at that.
Somebody's going to be right, ain't they?
Yeah.
Somebody, hopefully. Chad, you brought up biologicals. What do you use organics on your?
Yes, well, we started last year and with a little bit of the spring product, and then we went full bore this fall with the Bio 800 in the fall, and going to continue, in the carbon program, and look forward to it.
So you're saying the breakdown product, this was your first year to use that?
This past fall.
How did that look for you? Because I know I just went to breakfast this morning that was really in depth and not breaking it down, but going more in depth on that topic. What are your thoughts?
It's definitely an obvious, a visual difference of what you could see, with the plant, the stalks, the black, the black, the fungi starting to show up, and there that normally would have taken a whole lot longer or maybe never occurred. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to what it's changing the soil texture already. Just the visual, or just the when you're walking on it. I mean, it's different. So I'm looking forward to it.
I called you last year. Remember that? I was like,
I do. Yeah. You said this.
I said, what did you do? What'd
you do here? Yeah.
Well, one of my things, and this is why I do like organics, is have you noticed a difference with your water retention? Because I know they talked about that this morning in that lecture, but I feel like that is one of the side effects that may not have been the main focus, but it could be one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've really tried to pay attention to lately in this fall was we get a lot of heavy rains, and we're on a lot of rolling ground, and so water ponds in them lower areas a lot. And I've noticed just on these farms that since I've applied this, it's already not sitting there like it once did. The water is going down a whole lot better than it did before. And that's just like I said, this is just some fields, one application, and I'm not saying it's not setting there still somewhat, but I mean, it's a whole lot faster, going down, and I think it just will keep getting better.
And that particular
applications.
I didn't mean to cut you off. That particular farm, the history of manure on it too, I think that kind of exemplified, it exacerbated that effect too. I mean, it was almost, I don't want to use the word immediate because I don't want to misspoke, but the change that occurred in that farm was a lot quicker than I could have ever anticipated.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and not to give your business away, but we went back to look at that yield map, that's what we talked about the other day, the yield being the big dog on the block there. To a line where that was. And it's not some incremental, like to a line.
Yeah.
You can see definite difference.
Once the soil biology is working for you, it can do a number of things. I think in the past we've only thought about it maybe in one manner, but I mean soil health, water retention, porosity, aggregation, like reducing disease. That's one of the ones that Mr. Stark was talking about was, that disease suppression of things. Once you have that good balance of bacteria and fungi.
That's what John talks about,
Yeah,
there's so many other benefits, that we're hearing about it now, just with compaction levels, and how much, for people that are running rippers and doing a lot of tillage, that's a pretty big cost savings if you don't have to run that tillage equipment.
Man.
I mean, it's a huge deal. But I think I think we're going to find more benefits to this biology as we learn more and keep going forward.
There's a lot to learn with it.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to hit on, and then we can wrap it up. Were y'all in there for the speaker, Jim Craig, the Olympic hockey player?
I was. Yeah.
Were y'all?
No.
What did you? Because I feel like we're so farm driven, farm focused, and he just gave us an outsider's perspective. Because what was it? I heard somebody say something the other day. To fix the business you're in, you need an outside view. And I'm not saying he gave us business advice, but he just kind of gave us that refreshing, like, cold drink of water, like just when you wake up in the morning, just a different look on things. What were your thoughts?
I looked at it as like, I mean, it's almost like a little bit of parenting advice.
Yeah.
A little bit, like there was some stuff, the way you raise your kids. I've got a new grandson and another one on the way here pretty soon. So I mean, it made me think. Different ways of doing things. Not different, but I mean different ways to react to things. So.
Well, he said something, and it was busy and productive are not the same thing. And I feel like in farming, that is very...
That's a hard one for a lot of farmers to
Like,
to
that
swallow.
I just wrote it, and I didn't even write it down thinking of farmers, but now that I look back at my notes, that's how a lot of farmers operate. They just get stuck in their ways, so they do the same thing, and it's just not productive anymore. They're just doing busy work.
But until recently, I never put two and two together, and I met someone that kind of taught me that, like just running around like you're busy with a chicken with your head cut off. It's not the same as getting things done.
No. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
guilty of that myself.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, I want to thank y'all for joining me again. It was so nice to talk to y'all, and it was so nice to be here with y'all at FarmCon 2025. Thank y'all.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.
Alrighty, y'all. We're at FarmCon here, 2025 in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm with Taylor and Caitlin Barker, husband and wife, and Brett Huss. He works with Organics. Taylor, Caitlin, tell us where y'all work, what y'all do. Go ahead, Taylor.
So I work with Organics, Root Calls, Profit Max, Silver Oak Farms, and
All the above?
All the above, yeah.
Yeah, so my primary position is with Organics Mid-South, but I also help a little here and there in the other areas that were mentioned.
Caitlin is the go-to woman. She does everything. The banners, everything you see, Caitlin probably did it. Brett, what about you?
Organics Mid-South agronomist. I do help out a little bit, kind of like Taylor and Caitlin, wherever I'm needed, but primarily with Organics.
All right, so we are at FarmCon. Caitlin, what is something that you have taken away? What's one of your favorite things here?
I just really enjoy getting to see the different, avenues and industries within the ag industry, and just meeting different people and seeing the direction that ag is heading, and it's encouraging that even as we evolve, that things sometimes look negative, but there is hope.
There is hope.
There's new technologies coming out every day and all the time, and overall, the ag industry, we collaborate and we get done, what we need to feed the world.
Yeah. Taylor, what is something that you took away?
Yeah, so coming to FarmCon, this is probably my 4th or 5th year, and I've always said it's one of the best conferences I come to, and I think it's because it's the best of the best people in the industry. All avenues of the industry, from finance to production to selling the product. You get to rub elbows and just talk with a lot of good people that know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about it here is, yes, a lot of us are farmers and in the ag industry, but like everything's a business. Come down to it, like you gotta look at the market, you gotta look at the finances. And I think that's intriguing, and Kevin Van Trump brings a good viewpoint to here for that. Brett, what's something that you've taken away?
Well, this is my first year here at FarmCon, but one thing that I've really noticed that this is probably my favorite conference I've been to. It's just a lot of intelligent minds all in one place that really have the same goal, helping out the farmer. Nobody's really here being in competition, just trying to help out farms, get them going in the right direction. Kind of like what they mentioned earlier, giving people hope. There's another route you can go down to help liven up your farm, keep things going.
What did you take away, Kelly?
My favorite speaker, which it wasn't even really a speaker, Kevin Van Trump, his opening statements, I just really liked. I feel like it resonated. One of the things that, and I'm 21, so like I think that makes me a Gen Z, right?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't keep up with that. Like that
you're
and
Gen
the,
Z.
like,
I think that's right, yeah.
their astrological sign things, I don't keep up with anything like that. The one thing that I was just like, yes, because I just know my peers and know the people that I've grown up around, Gen Zs are setting the expectations too high. Like the housing market's like, you aren't going to buy a starter house. You're just going to live off, not saying live off your parents, because I still live with my parents. I can't say nothing. But their expectations are so high in this world, and he had a map and it showed like what you think your income should be, and what was the Gen Z?
Yeah, it was like over
500,000.
500.
It was over 500,000.
Like I
Per
would
year.
never, I would never graduate college and think I deserved to earn that much.
It's just an outrageous expectation.
Some of that may be where we live geographically too, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we're in Western Tennessee, and so the cost of living is not.
It's different,
Yeah,
yes.
it's not as bad as it would be like here in Kansas City or some other areas of our country. But
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't know if social media kind of hypes that up.
For
I'm not,
sure.
I'm not
Oh,
on
yeah,
the socials,
absolutely.
but
everything has to be.
Well, they talked a lot about like people are wanting to travel more instead of settle down, and I have nothing like against the traditional American dream of like building a house, building a family, like whatever. But you have to start somewhere. Like at the end of the day, you can't go out and build a mansion with 100 acres. Like you gotta start at the bottom.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So there's a lot of farming influencers now. Do we see a shift of like that farmers feel like they have to meet that like aesthetic?
Yes.
Maybe not aesthetic is the wrong word, but you know that
No,
we have
that
to
new
have the new
change.
equipment. We have to have, you know, the best of the best to be able to farm properly. Like, is that something that we're seeing?
I could see like the younger generation, like the 20, 30, 40-year-olds, but like I feel like the older generation, like 60-year-olds that have been in it for a while, I just don't foresee them even caring. Like I know my dad is 50. I mean, he doesn't farm, but he don't care about the trends. Like he's like, I'm gonna run this truck till it runs in the ground. He don't want nothing new or fancy.
Right.
And I just think that's a difference in our generation. Is back then you had what you had, you used it till it was up. Now we're like, oh well, this product ain't up, but this product's out and it's newer and it's better.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just always looking for something to put on social media. They want to show something off.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
picture
think,
worthy.
and that's not to, I can't think of a word, but like to speak poorly of these
Yeah.
Right.
influencers in agriculture because they're doing a great job and doing something
Absolutely.
that's very, very
Oh
important.
yes.
In our generation, I'm a millennial, but even from my age, mid 30s down, we're losing sight of American agriculture, and so what they are doing out there is so critical to spreading the message to
Yes,
our
it's
age
sharing
and
the
down.
light.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that was never one avenue. I mean, most farmers, most people don't, that age or older, won't have smartphones or have that kind of social media. But now that's our way of communication.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see the generations merge. So you just said that about the smartphones. Well, it's, we are learning so much from the previous generations, but we also have a lot that we can teach with technology adaptation to some of those former generations as well. So it's really cool. This at FarmCon, you can just look around and see all the different generations that are coming together and working together to make this work, and that's really cool.
That's what it's going to take. And I mean, they've talked about the different markets, the different, like the other countries, the exports, the tariffs, all that. And it's terrifying to look at and to even think about. But that's what I like so much about this event is that it is, and I can't remember the slogan or what they say, but it's for creative, innovative minds.
Yes.
And it's for people, like if you're stuck in your ways and you aren't going to change, like I don't think this is a conference for you. And I'm not saying don't come because it can help anybody.
Right.
But I think this is a conference that will benefit the people that look at it with an open perspective.
Yeah.
An open mindset in farming is one thing that you just have to have these days, I think.
These
personally.
days, yes, for sure. I mean, with the way things are changing,
Trying
how much
new
land
things,
has been
you
farmed.
know.
Like I read something the other day, and it said 50 years, if we keep doing it the way we're doing farming now, we ain't have nothing to farm.
Right. Yeah.
It's just,
and there's statistics. I forget the exact numbers, but I think in 20 years that we'll be farming on less than 1 million acres.
well, that was one of the
And
statistics
less
I
than
wrote down.
400,000 farms or something like that. I mean, there's some numbers out there that are kind of scary to our food system. And there's some companies here that are really offering farms a reason to be able to stay on the farm.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing nowadays as far as the way the markets are going and yields aren't where they want to be. And we've overproduced this market, like I think y'all have talked about on the podcast before. And there's some companies here that are giving you some incentives and helping you save money and things like that to really help farmers stay there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, I don't know if y'all were in there for it, and I wrote it down and said, like, new podcast topic, farm consolidation. Like, one guy read off a statistic and said 7 million farms to less than 1 million
Yeah,
farms in the
that's
U.S. in the
17.
past so many years. And you know who's buying them? Bill Gates and the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
What are y'all thoughts on that? On our farmland. Like, it's just odd. Like, I would have never guessed that.
Well, I would say it's better than a foreign country in ways.
Yeah.
And they're not taking the land out of production as well. So it's better than, I guess you could say, solar farms and things like that, taking farmland out of production for that. But yeah, you just wonder. I mean, they're more or less using it for a savings account.
Yeah.
I guess. You just wonder what their end goal is.
Yeah, it's the end game. But
What is the goal of them purchasing this land? I mean, for farmers, I think it's actually, I'm not saying it's hurting us because I am glad it's still in production, but it's raising the prices for us.
Yeah.
But if we want to expand, but I kind of feel like we're getting to the point that everybody is consolidating, and it's going to be in the next 100 years. I mean, I feel like you're going to have just a select few farmers that farm a lot of land.
yeah. And I don't think this is kind of switching gears, but a lot of other countries are looking into and producing in a vertical farming way. So they're buying old warehouses and abandoned buildings, and we're farming upwards. So using hydroponics systems and different things to grow vegetables, and they're using black water from the sewage systems. It's filtered,
I have not heard
obviously.
this.
Yeah,
I
really
wanted to
cool.
do that one time.
Yeah,
Caitlin wouldn't let me.
we did look into that.
They are husband and wife.
Really,
y'all.
really cool. It seems a little far fetched for our country where we're at now, but I think it's a conversation worth having for the future.
Like, I
because-
haven't heard that, and I'm not saying I'm closed-minded, but I mean, I try to read and keep up with newer things, but
Yeah.
and you can't read everything. But, like, so what is it? So is it just, you said vertical upwards, like multiple stories, multiple levels?
Yeah, like, so these high rises. So take this hotel. If it were no longer a hotel,
Grow a lot of vegetables in
yeah.
here.
So
Vegetables,
is it
lettuce. Now
just
it's-
vegetables?
You can grow, I guess you can figure out how to grow anything, but that is something that we have to consider. Some of our row crops that we're using for food, fuel, and fiber, may not do great in these situations. I have not looked into it in a while. In my little bit of research in college, did some things with that. But it's, when it comes down to, do we have food or do we not have food, it's an option.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is. It is.
So with hydroponics, you can grow them in trays and just stack them. I mean, all you really
So it
need
doesn't
is
even have to be multiple floors.
No.
you don't even have to have sunlight. I mean, if you have grow lights, and water with nutrients running, it's a system that'll work.
Yeah.
So Disney grows maybe not all, but a majority of
A
their
large
food via
Really?
hydroponics on the grounds there.
So hydroponic, what do you say? How do you say it?
hydroponics.
Hydroponic. So
it's
that's just growing
water.
vertical?
No.
Okay, okay.
Two different things.
No soil,
So,
just
no
water.
soil.
Right.
Yeah. So technically, you can't grow an organic crop hydroponically because the organic requires soil. But you're not spraying everything. You just add nutrients to the water, and that water rushes over those roots. And I'm sorry, we are way off topic of
No, that
traditional
is so
farming,
fascinating. But that's what
just
this
something
information
to
is.
consider as we're moving forward, and urbanization is taking over farmland, and
Well, now that you say that, so my mom she likes the little succulents. You know what I'm talking about? The plant, little plant things that are cactuses. I don't know. Anyways, my dad bought her for Christmas a few years ago, and it's like a baker's rack, and it's like a bunch of different levels, and he like installed the lights because when they're outside they get frostbite this time of year,
Right.
And he did this light and has so she has like a whole utility room full of these plants, and it's like the same aspect that you're thinking. I just guess I never looked at it from a food productive standpoint. I just looked at it as like, oh, we're trying to keep our plants alive over the winter.
yeah,
That's
especially.
cool.
Yeah, like inner city, people
Yeah.
don't have a garden.
They don't have
an
the
acre
land.
of land to put, so they.
That is so cool. Brett, what was one of your favorite speakers or favorite things of this event?
I'd have to say it was probably one of the panels when they were up there. They were talking about everything that's going on internationally that we don't really think would, or a lot of people wouldn't think would affect us here in the United States, but it really does with the markets and the commodities and whatnot. And I just thought that was really interesting hearing them talking about it. With Trump coming into office and stuff like that, a lot of things are going to change, and people are going to have to adapt. I think one of the quotes that said up there, it's adapting is better than planning, I believe. I might have said
No,
that.
I actually mentioned that in the last film. Adaptability is greater than
There you go. That's what I was trying
and
to say.
that has stuck with me,
It
and
was.
that's going to
It's a perfect quote for it.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's absolutely necessary.
Well, it's something that fits. I don't think. Yes, it is a farm convention. I don't know if he just meant to specify it to farmers, but that fits farmers perfectly. Yes, you can plan and you can plan for this to happen, but heck, it may rain 10 inches, not 10 inches,
Right.
but we may get flooded or.
Right.
There's so many things that you just have to move with along the way that there's no way of predicting.
Yeah.
Just because you have a plan doesn't mean it's going to follow through the whole time.
Right. And I think to Brett's point, some of the panel discussion took away a lot of the noise that we may hear on different media outlets and things. It was just, here are the facts from almost behind the scenes. You know, these experts have done the work. We're not getting the opinions of people who are not necessarily experts, but rather just reporting what they hear from different sources.
And there's a lot of honest information, and as farmers, it's sometimes stuff we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
The markets aren't going to they're not going to double or get a whole lot better just this year, but there's hope.
That's hope.
Real
And
honest.
Forecast, and that's what a lot of people like to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for coming to FarmCon. It's been a blast, a winter blast, but it's been fun. It's been cold. It's been real. But thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.